Hello and welcome to World Talks. My name is Diana Skaya. In the last 24 hours, major developments have unfolded regarding Ukraine. In Brussels, leaders of all 27 EU member states, along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, convened for a special summit to discuss the future of peace talks and Europe's new defense spending plan. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump announced that his administration will no longer share intelligence with Ukraine, a move that could significantly impact the country's battlefield capabilities, and France stepped in to promise aid. Now, to unpack this all and more, I'm joined by Olexiy Haran, research advisor at the Democratic Initiatives Foundation. Good morning, sir. So happy to have you with us here on World Talks this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right. I mean, a lot has taken place. So much is happening. But let me ask you this first. I want to take you through Ukraine's ambassador to the United Kingdom, Oleksiy Zaluzhny, has made a strong statement that the United States is destroying the world order. Sir, I want you to tell me, do you agree with this statement? And secondly, what do you think that the ambassador means by writing and by saying something like that?
Well, your second question is more difficult to answer because the first part, yes, I do agree. Basically, he said what we all think in Ukraine. It's really strange to see how favorable President Trump is towards Putin and how unfavorable he is towards the victim of aggression. You know, basically, he's not even neutral mediator. He's now pushing on Ukraine, blaming Ukraine, while, Russia is fine. And this is really, really strange for me. Look, because the situation is like we have aggression, and actually Russia said and continue to saying that they are not going to stop. They don't want ceasefire. They would like to keep all the territories of Ukraine that Russia annexed. They would like to get rid of any security guarantees for Ukraine. Basically, Russia do not want to stop. Today, we have actually this night, we had huge bombardment of all the Ukrainian territories, including in Kiev, in capital, where I'm staying. So, and in this situation, Mr. Trump is saying, okay, we are not going to limit Mr. Putin, but we are limiting defense capabilities of Ukraine. Really, really strange, frankly speaking. Regarding, well, we may explain why Trump is doing that, but I believe, so we can discuss it. But the reality is here. So support not to the victim of aggression, but to aggressor. Regarding your second question, as I have said, it's more difficult for me to answer. Well, maybe he just explained, how we view this situation. The second point, maybe also he would like to, because he has huge popularity in Ukraine, but also in the West as commander-in-chief of Ukrainian army for 2 years. So I think his words are important, for our European allies and also for Ukrainians as well.
Oleksiy, let me ask you this. I mean, you just said that he remains a very, popular figure in Ukraine, also, for the Ukrainian army and stuff. But let me ask you this. Although he does, yet we're seeing opposition leaders like Yulia Tymoshenko and Poroshenko are reportedly positioning themselves as better partners for Trump. I mean, how do you see that Ukraine's political landscape shifting in response to this U.S. pressure that also you've just mentioned?
Well, look, where do you take your information from? From Politica? Well, yesterday Politica published, really strange article about secret talks between Trump and these opposition leaders. Very, very strange, because in these articles there were polls which are really, really strange, with a lot of mistakes. which contradicts every poll which is conducted in Ukraine. So I believe we shouldn't trust, this article in Politica. And regarding the secret talks, basically there were statements from both Poroshenko and Tymoshenko that they are not going to have, that they are against elections in the time of war. This is position of all the Ukrainians, whether we like President Zelensky or not. But his popularity remains very high, actually, and he is number one politician who is trusted by Ukrainians. We'll see how it will develop, because situation is not easy and there could be change. By so far, the person who could challenge Zelensky is actually General Zaluzhny, who is ahead in the ratings of, if we include non-politicians. But if we remove Zaluzhny from the list, then among politicians, Zelensky still remains number one. And as far as I see, there are no chances for Poroshenko and Tymoshenko to defeat him. Yeah. So, look, we are talking about theoretical elections, but they would be able only when, there would be really stable ceasefire, because we need to remove the martial law, and we need some security guarantees to conduct it, because we are removing martial law, we are demobilizing at least part of our army to participate in these elections, and for other people to participate. And next day after elections, Putin restart his aggression. Can you guarantee it will not happen? No, because Putin is violating his words on every occasion.
All right, let me ask you this. Now, with these ongoing U.S.-Russia negotiations, Zaluzhny warns that Washington may be making actually those concessions that could leave Europe vulnerable. How real is this risk? I mean, what would you say that European countries should do in response?
Look, here I agree with Zaluzhny, but I would not quote him. I would quote Europeans themselves. Yes, Europeans are disturbed, very, very disturbed, because now it seems that the guarantees which the US provided to Europe and vice versa, which was the basis of transatlantic cooperation, they do not exist anymore. So that's why Europe feel insecure. Again, we may quote many European politicians and leaders about it. So yes, we see the attempts of Europe to change the situation, and the Europeans now are trying to find what can be done if American guarantees are not credible, actually.
Could possibly Ukraine have any plans to build a nuclear weapon?
No. Look, I don't know. These are all speculations which are in press. We don't have enough capabilities, to resume nuclear weapons that we had, and we had the third nuclear arsenal in the world. We gave it up voluntarily for the guarantees of our territorial security. And the guarantors, I mean Russia and the United States, didn't. First of all, Russia didn't perform its obligations, because Russia directly attacked Ukraine in 2014. So I don't see any political preconditions for restoring the arsenal, nuclear arsenal. And but in this situation, let's remind to everybody, to every politician, that there were guarantees to Ukraine, and Ukraine was neutral, and Putin attacked neutral Ukraine in 2014. So when we hear nothing, this is about NATO, come on, there was no NATO on the territory of Ukraine at all. Ukrainians didn't want to join NATO. We were neutral, we were anti-NATO. But then Russia attacked us, even at the time when they guarantee our territorial borders. So how can we trust Russia?
All right, Olexiy, let me ask you this now. I mean, let's talk a little bit about Trump's, Wednesday's decision by his administration to stop sharing CIA reports with Kiev. I mean, this is what CIA Director John Ratcliffe said. Of course, piling up, that pressure on Zelensky to cooperate with Donald Trump in convening peace talks, of course, with Russia. Now, how do you think that the loss of U.S. intelligence sharing is actually going to impact Ukraine's ability to conduct long-range precision strikes? And I mean, can Europe actually be able to fully compensate for this gap alone without the U.S.?
Well, definitely this is a bad development, and the Europeans are finding the ways also to share the information with Ukraine. But yes, it creates some difficulties, yes. And it's difficult, instead of improving Ukrainian defense capabilities, we see more distractions and more aggressive Russian politics. That I think it was a mistake from Trump administration, very clear. If he is talking about peace, when there's a lot of talk about peace deal that Ukraine do not want, Ukraine prefers war. Look, we should say very clear, we are in favor of lasting and just peace, definitely. But if you are talking about peace deal and you mean capitulation of Ukraine, that aggressor will keep all the territories occupied and aggressor would be able to restart at any moment its aggression, that's not about peace deal. It's about actual capitulation on the terms of Putin. I think it would be very good if, I think Europeans understand it pretty well right now, and that's why it's, their position and their reaction. But, for American administration now, it doesn't look like that. So we'll see. Trump is very unpredictable, so his position may change. So far, I would say that it's not very favorable for us.
Zelensky took to a social media post saying that he will travel to Saudi Arabia, where reportedly talks will take place with American partners. I mean, sir, you're saying all of this, that you don't see that it may, be fruitful. But I mean, what's next for Ukraine? What do you think? What is a possible scenario that can play out? We just have 1 minute left for the program, so if you can just briefly tell us what you think.
If you have 1 minute, I should say that our main resource are Ukrainian people and Ukrainian armed forces. We defeated Putin nearby Kiev in 2022 when nobody believed that we can resist. We defeated him nearby Kiev, near Kherson, near Kharkiv, and so on and so forth. So if we have enough support, at least, weapons, at least economic sanctions, then we may continue our resistance and be successful, basically. If not, then it would be betrayal not only of Ukraine. It will be a very bad precedent for the whole war, for the whole world. Not only Ukraine, but for Europe and other parts of the world as well.
Thank you so much, Olexiy Haran, research advisor at the Democratic Initiatives Foundation, for being with us here this morning on World Talks.
Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.